Welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a confidence interval estimate for a population proportion. So here we have a question. The question reads, a survey of 800 students attending a tutoring center was conducted to learn more about student preferences on the tutoring center hours. The survey found 350 students were satisfied with the current timing. Thus, the point estimate of the proportion of students who were happy with the current tutoring class hours is 350 over 800, that is 0.44 or 44%. Using this information, construct a 95% confidence interval estimate for the population proportion. So in order to solve this question, we are going to use the formula that you see right here. So the formula is basically the estimate for the population plus or minus the margin of error. So the margin of error is this formula that you see here. So the main goal, similar to what you saw when we were doing the calculations for the z distribution and the t distribution interval estimates, we are going to get 2 points: the proportion estimate minus the margin of error, and the proportion estimate plus the margin of error. Now the question here already tells us the sample size and the proportion, but we're going to assume that it is not given, and instead we're given a data set that looks like this. So here you have student numbered all the way till 800. This represents the 800 students enrolled in this tutoring center, and the responses they gave to the question whether or not they are satisfied with the current class timing. So the responses could be yes or no. So we're going to use this data set to do our calculations in Excel, and I'll show you how you can use some of the functions in Excel to get to this result faster. So here I put together a table that tells us what are the pieces of information we need in order to calculate the margin of error and the interval estimates. So the first number we need to find is the sample size. Again, although the question here says 800, I want to show you how you can calculate this in Excel if you were given a data set. So in my previous videos, you might have seen me using the count function. The count function cannot be used in this example because count function is used for numeric data, whereas here you can see that it is a combination of text and numbers. So in order to count how many students we have in our data set, we're going to use the counter function. Okay, so when the bracket opens up, you're basically going to select your entire data set. Close bracket, press enter. So this has easily helped me calculate that there are 800 students in this class. Here I am interested in looking at the point estimate for the proportion of students who were happy with the current tutoring class hours. Hence, I'm looking for yes responses in my data set. Now I need to count how many students said yes. Here I'm going to make use of the COUNTIF function. So the first argument in the COUNTIF function is range. Range is the data set. Comma, second argument is the criteria. Here I'm going to say to Excel to count only the yes responses. Next is the sample proportion. So this 350 represents how much percent of 800. That's what I'm interested in finding out here. So I'm going to do 350 divided by the total 800. Now confidence coefficient is 0.95 because the question says to construct a 95% confidence interval. So we're going to put 0.95. The level of significance alpha is 1 minus the confidence coefficient. Now in order to find the z-value, we're going to make use of the norm S inverse function. So the argument is going to ask you for probability. Inside the bracket, we need to put 1 minus alpha divided by 2. So this gives us the probability in the upper tail under the curve. Next, we need to calculate the margin of error. So the margin of error formula is the one that you see right here. Z alpha divided by 2 multiplied by the square root of the proportion estimate 1 minus proportion estimate divided by n. So you have all the pieces of information you need to put together in your formula here, but be careful with this step. If you want, you can break down the calculation and first do the calculation for the square root section and then multiply it to the z value. So here I'm going to select the z value, asterisk is the multiplication sign, and in Excel you can use the square root function. Point estimate is the 0.4375 asterisk 0.4375 multiplied by 1 minus 0.4375 close bracket divided by sample size. So margin of error is 0.0344. Now point estimate is again your sample proportion. So here again, lower limit as per the formula is the proportion estimate minus the margin of error and the proportion estimate plus the margin of error. So here lower limit is going to be point estimate minus your margin of error, and upper limit will be point estimate plus the margin of error. So this is how easily you can calculate your confidence interval estimate for a population proportion in Excel using different functions.